My name is Charlotte Ashford. I'm 32 years old, and last Christmas, my parents booked a $45,000 family vacation for everyone except me. Instead of a plane ticket to Aspen, my mother left me a note on the kitchen counter. Water the plants, feed the dog, pick up our dry cleaning. I found that note next to the receipt. 4 ski passes, a 5-star suite, spa treatments, private lessons for my brother, $45,000 for a trip I wasn't invited to. That was the moment I stopped being their unpaid servant. I stopped watering, I stopped cleaning, and I started planning. 3 weeks later, at their New Year's brunch, 40 guests, champagne flowing, I handed them a document that made my mother collapse into her chair. Before I continue, please like and subscribe, but only if this story resonates with you. Tell me in the comments, where are you watching from right now? Now, let me take you back to December 15th, the day I found that receipt. I was sitting at the kitchen table, laptop open, spreadsheets glowing on the screen, working from home, or rather working from my parents' home, the house I'd lived in my entire life, the basement specifically. But we'll get to that. Mom walked in without knocking. She never knocked. She placed a piece of paper next to my laptop and tapped it twice with her manicured nail. We're leaving for Aspen tomorrow. Here's what needs to be done while we're gone. I looked at the list. Water the orchids. Feed Molly. Pick up dry cleaning. Shovel snow if there's a storm, accept any packages. What time should I be ready tomorrow? I asked. She looked at me like I'd spoken another language. Ready, Charlotte? Someone needs to stay and watch the house. She smoothed her blouse. You know Tyler can't miss this. He's bringing Emma to meet the family. Tyler, my 28-year-old brother, the one who got his college tuition paid in full, $180,000, the one who got a BMW for his 21st birthday, the one whose Manhattan apartment rent, $3,200 a month, showed up on our parents' credit card statement every single month. I didn't go to college. Mom said it wasn't practical for girls, said I should learn something useful at home instead. So I learned to cook, to clean, to keep my mouth shut. Okay, I said, just like I always said. Mom nodded, already walking away. Oh, and the orchids need distilled water. Don't kill them like last time. She disappeared upstairs, and I sat there staring at that list. Something was different this time. I just didn't know what yet. That night I sat on my bed in the basement. No windows, just concrete walls painted a cheerful yellow that fooled no one. Molly lay beside me, her golden fur warm against my leg. She was 12 now, grey around her muzzle, slower on the stairs. She'd been my birthday present, the one good thing I got when I turned 20. I still had the registration papers somewhere, my name on the line, Charlotte Ashford, owner. Molly wed softly and pressed her head against my hand. I know, girl, I whispered. I know. My laptop pinged. An email notification. I almost ignored it, but something made me click. It was a forwarded message. Mom had sent it to Dad and accidentally CC'd me. The subject line read, FWD, booking confirmation, Aspen Mountain Resort. I opened it. 4 guests, December 18th through the 28th, and attached the receipt. $45,000 ski passes, the presidential suite spa packages, private ski lessons for Tyler. I read the number 3 times. Then I looked around my basement room. The second-hand mattress, the desk I'd found on the curb 6 years ago, the single lamp that flickered when the heat kicked on. I thought about Grandma, about the 5 years I spent taking care of her, feeding her, bathing her, sitting with her through the long nights when she couldn't sleep, all the way until the end. Mom had said, family doesn't pay family, but Tyler got $500 a week to help Dad with the yard work last summer. Molly nudged my hand again. I opened a new browser tab and typed 4 words, how to check credit report. Something had shifted inside me and there was no going back. The free credit report took 3 minutes to generate. It took me 20 minutes to stop shaking. 3 credit cards, all in my name, all opened without my knowledge. The first one appeared when I was 19 years old. The exact year Mom convinced me to stay home instead of applying to college. Total balance across all three cards, $67,000. I scrolled through the charges. Furniture from Pottery Barn, first-class flights to Miami, shopping sprees at Nordstrom and Neiman Marcus, the billing address for all three cards, my parents' house, this house. But I'd never seen a single statement. My hands trembled as I kept scrolling. I thought about every job application that had been rejected, every apartment I'd tried to rent, the confused looks from landlords, the apologetic emails. Unfortunately, your credit score doesn't meet our requirements. I thought I was unlucky. I thought something was wrong with me, but it wasn't me at all. They'd taken my name, my social security number, my future, and they'd used it to furnish their living room and take tropical vacations. Molly pressed closer, sensing my distress. I buried my fingers in her fur and focused on breathing. In, out, full minute staring at the closed door. The orchids sat on this windowsill, delicate and demanding, waiting for water I wasn't going to give them. My phone buzzed. Diane, see you at 10. The coffee shop on Main Street. I looked into what you mentioned. Charlotte, we really need to talk. I grabbed my coat and my car keys. The orchids could wait forever if necessary. Diane hadn't changed much. Same warm smile, same sharp eyes that missed nothing. She was already at a corner table when I arrived, 2 coffees waiting. She stood and hugged me tight. 8 years, she said. 8 years and you look exactly the same. We sat. She slid my coffee toward me and then pulled out a folder. I ran a preliminary check after your message. Her voice dropped. Charlotte, what I found. She opened the folder. My credit report highlighted in yellow. This is identity theft. These cards were opened without your consent. She looked at me steadily. This is a federal crime. My throat tightened. But they're my parents. That doesn't make it legal. She explained my options. I could file a police report, press charges, sue for damages, but I shook my head. I don't want them in prison. I wrapped my hands around the warm cup. I just want them to see me, to acknowledge what they've done. Diane studied me for a long moment. Then we do this differently. She pulled out a legal pad. You told me you took care of your grandmother for 5 years. Full-time care, right? Did your mother ever put anything in writing about compensating you? I thought back. The endless nights, the bedpans, the medications, Mom promising it would all be worth it. There's an email, I said slowly. She said she'd make it up to me when Grandma got better. Grandma never got better. No, she didn't. Diane nodded, writing quickly. That email could be considered a verbal contract in writing. And Charlotte, she looked up. Have you ever heard of a mechanic's lien? I shook my head. Then let me explain how we're going to get you seen. 2 days later, I sat in a cramped office across from Marcus Smith. He was a CPA who specialized in family financial disputes. Diane's referral, grey-haired, glasses, the kind of man who'd seen everything and judged nothing. A stack of papers sat between us. Let's calculate what you're owed, he said, pen ready. We started with the housework. 20 years of cooking, cleaning, laundry, 15 hours a week, 52 weeks a year at $18 an hour, the average housekeeper rate. He wrote the number $280,800. Then Grandma, 5 years of full-time caregiving, 40 hours a week, minimum $20 an hour. Another number, $28,000. Now we subtract fair market value for room and board, he said. Even in a basement, he calculated, wrote a final figure. We deduct approximately $102,000. He circled the bottom line. Your total $386,800. I stared at the number. That can't be right. It's actually conservative. He adjusted his glasses. I didn't include overtime, holiday work, or the emotional labor of end-of-life care. Diane leaned forward. And that's before the $67,000 in credit card debt. Marcus flipped to another page. Speaking of which, I found something else. One of those cards is still active. What? Someone made a purchase 3 weeks ago, a spa treatment in Miami. I felt the floor tilt. They're still using it. Still using you? Marcus closed the folder. Charlotte, your parents didn't just exploit your past. They're exploiting your present. Diane touched my arm. We can stop this. We can make them see, but only if you're ready sealing. The room where I'd spent a decade waiting to be seen. Goodbye, I whispered to no one. Then my phone buzzed. Tyler, Mom's planning a New Year's brunch. 40 guests. She needs you to cater. You in? I smiled. I'll be there. Okay, I need to pause here for a moment. If you've ever been the responsible one in your family, the one who always shows up, always helps, always sacrifices, and you felt invisible doing it, I see you. Quick question. What would you do if you discovered your parents had been using your identity for over a decade? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want to see how this plays out at that New Year's brunch, keep watching. December 28th, 3 in the afternoon. I watched from across the street as the black SUV pulled into the driveway. The doors opened. Tan faces, tired smiles, expensive ski gear. They were home. I walked up the front path, timing my arrival perfectly. Casual, coincidental, like I just stepped out for air. Mom spotted me first. Charlotte, why are you standing outside? It's freezing. Just getting some fresh air. Tyler pushed past without a word, dragging his luggage upstairs. Dad nodded once and disappeared into his study. Same as always, same as ever. Mom walked inside and stopped. She stared at the orchids on the windowsill. Brown, wilted, definitely dead. Charlotte, her voice sharpened. What happened to my orchids? I didn't water them. You? She turned to face me. And the dry cleaning. Please tell me you picked it up. I didn't. The silence stretched between us like a wire about to snap. I asked you to do 3 things. 3 simple things. I was busy. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. Before she could unleash whatever was building behind her eyes, Dad's voice echoed from the study. Linda, where's the Amex statement? I need to check something. She shot me a look that promised this wasn't over. We'll talk about this later. She swept past me toward the study. I exhaled. Then I walked downstairs to the basement just to see. Empty, clean, no trace of me except the yellow walls and the faint smell of cleaning solution. Mom hadn't noticed. She hadn't even looked. Upstairs, Molly's nails clicked on the hardwood floor. She found me at the basement door and pressed her head against my leg. 2 days, I thought. 2 more days until the brunch. Then they would finally see. December 30th. Mom called me into the living room like a general summoning a soldier. She held a clipboard, 2 pages, her handwriting in perfect cursive. New Year's brunch, 40 guests. Here's the menu. I took the pages. Eggs Benedict, smoked salmon on bio, 3 types of quiche, fresh fruit displays, mimosa bar, homemade pastries. You want me to cater for 40 people? I kept my voice even by myself. What else do you have to do? She didn't even look up. You work from home. From the study, Dad's voice carried. Your mother and I are hosting important people, colleagues, the Hendersons, the Morgans. This needs to be perfect, Charlotte. I thought this was a family brunch. Mom smiled. The patient smile she used when explaining something obvious to a child. It is family and your family. Family helps. Footsteps on the stairs. Tyler appeared, phone in hand. Hey, Mom, can Charlotte make those little quiche things? Emma loves those. Mom brightened. Of course, sweetie. She turned to me. Add mini quiches to the list. The spinach ones. And maybe those bacon-wrapped dates. Tyler was already walking away. Those were good last time. Charlotte, write that down. I stood there, holding the clipboard. 2 pages of demands, 40 people to feed, a kitchen to run single-handedly. What time do you need everything ready? Guests arrive at 10, so you should start prep around 5 a.m. Mom checked her phone. I have a hair appointment at 8, so I won't be able to help. You understand? I understood perfectly. I'll be here, I said. She patted my shoulder like I was an obedient dog. I knew I could count on you. She walked away, and I smiled at her back. 40 guests. Perfect. I wanted witnesses. New Year's Eve, 11 at night. I stood alone in the kitchen, surrounded by grocery bags I had no intention of unpacking. Eggs, salmon, champagne. Mom had spared no expense on ingredients I wouldn't be cooking. The kitchen door swung open. Emma walked in hesitant. Charlotte, can I help with anything? She was trying. I could see that. 3 months with Tyler, and she still hadn't figured out the rules before I could answer. Mom appeared behind her. Emma, sweetie, you're a guest. The warmth in her voice was almost convincing. Don't worry about the kitchen. Charlotte has it all under control. She put her arm around Emma's shoulders and guided her away, but not before turning to look at me. Oh, and Charlotte, wear something appropriate tomorrow. Her eyes swept over my sweater. That's fine for down here, but we have company coming. Dad passed through, heading for the liquor cabinet, food ready by 10. The Hendersons are always punctual. Will Aunt Patricia be there? I asked. Mom's expression flickered. Just for a moment. Yes, unfortunately she examined a champagne bottle. Just ignore whatever she says. You know how she is dramatic. Always stirring up trouble. I thought about Aunt Patricia, Dad's sister, the one who'd always looked at me with worried eyes at family gatherings. The only one who'd ever asked, Are you okay, honey? You seem tired. I'll keep that in mind, I said. Mom nodded, satisfied, and swept out with Emma in tow. I looked at the clock. 12 more hours. The manila envelope was already in my car, the paperwork signed, the lien filed. All that remained was the delivery. I turned off the kitchen light and went to spend one last night in my new apartment. Molly was waiting. January 1st, 8 in the morning. I wasn't there when Mom came downstairs expecting to find me at the stove, but I heard about it later from Aunt Patricia. Mom walked into the kitchen, empty, cold, no food prep, no Charlotte. She called my name, then called it louder, then screamed it. She ran to the basement, threw open the door. Nothing, no bed, no desk, no clothes, just bare walls in the echo of her own voice. Molly was gone too. Mom's panic was immediate. She called Dad, called Tyler, called my phone 16 times. I didn't answer. By 9:30, Mom had ordered emergency catering from the most expensive restaurant in town, triple the price for holiday rates. She was setting out store-bought pastries when the doorbell rang. Aunt Patricia an hour early. I thought I'd help set up. She told me later what she saw. Linda's hands shaking, Richard pacing by the window, Tyler asking, Should we cancel? We're not cancelling anything. Mom hissed, I've spent weeks planning this. Charlotte is just being dramatic. She'll show up. Guests began arriving at 10. The Hendersons, the Morgans, colleagues, old friends. 40 people filling the living room with small talk and champagne. Someone asked about me. Where's Charlotte? I've heard so much about her. Mom's smile didn't waver. She's not feeling well, resting upstairs. It was 10:45 when the doorbell rang again. Dad frowned. We're not expecting anyone else. He opened the door. I stood on the porch. Not in an apron, not in the kitchen, not invisible. I wore a black blazer, pressed slacks, my hair pulled back in my hands, a manila envelope, and beside me, tail wagging, was Molly. Hello, Dad. My voice was steady. I'm here for the brunch. The room went quiet. 40 pairs of eyes turned toward the door, toward me. Mom recovered first. She always did. She crossed the room with her hostess' smile firmly in place. Charlotte, sweetie. Her voice carried for the audience. We were so worried. Are you feeling better? She reached for my arm. I stepped back. I'm fine, Mom. Never been better, actually. Dad closed the door behind me, his face tight. Where have you been and why did you take the dog? Molly is my dog. I kept my voice calm, factual. Her registration has always been in my name. Charlotte, this isn't the time, Mom started. Actually, I said, this is the perfect time. I felt the room's attention sharpen. Mrs. Henderson leaned in. Mr. Morgan sat down a champagne glass. In the corner, I spotted Aunt Patricia. She stood near the fireplace, watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Not worried, not confused, hopeful. I have something for you, I said, both of you. I held up the manila envelope. Dad's jaw tightened. Whatever this is, we can discuss it privately. I've been private for 32 years. I met his eyes. I think it's time for some transparency. Henderson was already edging toward the door, clutching her purse. Mom tried to salvage the room. Everyone, please. This is a family matter. Mr. Morgan stood up. Richard, I think we should go. This seems personal. One by one, guests began leaving. Quiet apologies, embarrassed nods. No one wanted to stay for the aftermath. Emma rose from her seat near Tyler. She walked toward me, not toward him. I'm so sorry, she said quietly. I had no idea. Then she walked out the door. Tyler called after her. Emma, wait. She didn't look back. Within 15 minutes, the room was nearly empty. Just family now. Mom still sitting in her chair. Dad still clutching the papers. Tyler staring at his phone. Aunt Patricia standing beside me. And Molly pressed against my leg, her tail no longer wagging. The reckoning had begun. The front door closed behind the last guest. The silence that followed was deafening. Mom finally spoke. Her voice cracked. How could you do this to us in front of everyone? I looked at her. Really? Looked at the mascara starting to run, at the careful facade crumbling. How could you do this to me for 20 years? Dad threw the papers onto the coffee table. We raised you. We gave you a roof over your head, food, clothing, everything. A roof over the basement, hand-me-downs from cousins. And I cooked most of that food myself. I didn't blink while you were using my social security number to fund your lifestyle. That was for emergencies. Mom started someone who thinks that way. A pause. 3 dots. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. If you ever need a friend, I'm here. I read the message twice, 3 times. I didn't reply. Not yet. But I saved her number. Molly lifted her head, looked at me, and sighed contentedly. I know, girl, I murmured. We're okay. My phone buzzed again. This time, an email from Richard Ashford Tail once. We were getting there 6 months after the brunch. I'd upgraded to a larger apartment, same building, same landlord who believed in me before my credit score did. This one had a balcony. Molly and I sat there on summer evenings watching the sun set behind the city skyline. She was slower now, more grey around her muzzle, but content. The letters from Mom kept coming, 1 a week, sometimes 2. I read them all. I don't understand why you're doing this. We missed you so much. When are you coming home? Why won't you answer us? Not once, not in 6 months of letters, not a single I'm sorry, not a single acknowledgement that she'd done anything wrong. I folded each letter, stored them in a box I kept in my closet, evidence maybe, or just proof that I wasn't imagining things Aunt Patricia visited every weekend. We cooked dinner together. She told me stories about my mother as a young woman before the bitterness set in. Your grandmother compared us constantly. Patricia told me once, Linda was never thin enough, never smart enough, never good enough. That doesn't excuse what she did. No. Patricia's eyes were sad. It doesn't, but it explains it. I thought about that a lot, about how hurt people, about how my mother's wounds became my wounds. I understood now, but understanding isn't forgiveness, and forgiveness isn't a requirement for healing. Molly pressed her head against my knee. I know, girl, I scratched behind her ears. I know. Some nights I still dreamed about the basement, the yellow walls, the water stain on the ceiling, the feeling of being trapped. Then I woke up to sunlight, to windows, to a life that was finally fully mine. The knock came on a Sunday afternoon. I opened the door expecting a package. Instead, I found Tyler. He looked different, thinner, tired, a beard he hadn't had 6 months ago. I didn't know where you lived, he said. Patricia gave me the address. I hope that's okay. I stepped aside. Come in. He walked past me, taking in the apartment, the sunlight, the plants on the windowsill. Molly lifted her head, tail wagging, and he crouched to pet her. This is nice, he said. Really nice. It's mine. He nodded, straightened, shoved his hands in his pockets. The words came out rough. My whole life I didn't see it because it was easier not to see it, I know. Mom and Dad want me to convince you to come back to make peace. I waited. I told them no. He met my eyes. I told them they need to apologize first, really apologize. Not their version of it, the real thing. Something loosened in my chest, something I hadn't realized I'd been holding. Thank you, Tyler, that means something. He moved toward the door, paused. I'm trying to be better. It's hard. I know. I offered him a small smile. But you're trying. That's more than they ever did. He left. I watched him walk down the hallway. My brother, a stranger I was maybe slowly getting to know. I closed the door. Molly trotted over and pressed herself against my legs. I knelt down and wrapped my arms around her, felt her warmth, her heartbeat. 12 years of unconditional love. We made it, girl, I whispered. We're finally home. Outside my window, the summer sun poured in. I didn't burn bridges. I just stopped building them for people who never met me halfway. If you've made it this far, thank you truly. Here are a few things I learned from my experience. 1, your labor has value. Don't let anyone, not even family, make you feel guilty for expecting recognition. 2, setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's survival. 3, sometimes the quietest person in the room has been carrying the heaviest secrets. If this story resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever had to set a boundary with family? How did it go? Drop a comment below, like, subscribe, and check out the video in the description for another story about family, boundaries, and unexpected turns. Till next time, take care of yourself because you deserve